Good morning. Good morning, everybody. A hot and humid morning in South Florida. Hopefully, the weather will support my internet connection. It's always a question. I'll discuss for just a few moments, allowing people to join us, the reflective practice, the contemplative practice for today. It is kind of an extension of what we did last week. So last week we were working on honing the skill of meta-awareness, and the meditation practice helps take this skill into everyday life. And this week I'd like to continue this exploration of meta-awareness as we look at our own biases and how they influence our actions. There is so much going on around us now in the United States and all over the world, both with the coronavirus and the social unrest that resulted from the terrible event of the murder of Mr. Floyd. And this is not a political meditation or discussion. It is an opportunity to explore the issue of bias. And bias is simply a normal human function. We are all biased in different ways. This comes from our upbringing, the teachers we had in our earlier childhood, the environment we grew in, what we were exposed to or not exposed to. So bias is simply a natural human phenomena that helps you kind of make sense of the world. Another natural human phenomena is an evolutionary tendency towards in-group versus out-group. And this goes back to tribal days, right? You stick with your own people. That is safer. It's a survival mechanism. If, as a hunter-gatherer, you were discarded or thrown out of the group, that's truly meant most likely death. So we also need to recognize that almost in our DNA, right, in our collective DNA, there is that as well. And that is a form of bias. We are no longer thrown into the wilderness, for the most part. And so the out-group, in-group concept is no longer truly needed for survival. And yet we are at times bound by it, simply by our genetics, our upbringing. So with the very heated conversations that I see on social media or in the news, I think it is time to simply take an inner look between you and yourself, between me and myself, at how to process bias. Because bias is not a problem unless you take an action that is based on bias. If we recognize our own bias as such, and we pause and reflect and take a moment to contemplate a response that is just, that is compassionate, things unfold differently. If we act on bias, from a place that is not conscious, not aware, not awake, we're in for trouble. And I think you can see it all around us. Perhaps you see it also in yourself. So let's invite our body and minds into relaxation, to a practice of contemplation, finding yourself in a comfortable position and then gently closing your eyes. Soon the bell will sound, indicating the beginning of today's practice. Find a position that supports your practice. Perhaps sitting upright or with your back supported, seated on a chair or even lying down. Allow your eyes to gently close and bring your attention to your breath as it is. Letting the attention rest on the breath, simply notice where you feel your breath the most. Perhaps in the rise and fall of the chest, in the belly, going up and down with the breath. Simply notice. I invite you now to take a deep breath in and out, perhaps to the count of 4 in your mind. And for a little bit of time, simply doing this 4 in, 4 out. Let's invite the body into relaxation. The feet releasing, the ankles relaxing, the lower legs loosening, softening. The knees, the back of the knees sinking towards the surface on which you're sitting or lying down. The upper legs, the back of the thighs releasing. Allow relaxation to engulf the pelvis area, softening, releasing, relaxing. The abdomen and lower back, relaxing. The chest and upper back. Each in-breath invites even more relaxation. Each out-breath sends relaxation throughout your body and your mind. inviting the arms from shoulders to fingertips, relaxing. The neck, the throat opening and softening. Face muscles releasing, the jaws loosening. Inviting a gentle parting of the lips. Allow the body to become more and more comfortable as you turn inward in relaxation. I invite you to find yourself in your imagination in a beautiful, soothing place of your choosing. This may be outside in nature, or in your home, in a room where you feel most comfortable. And simply see yourself there for just a moment. Make it alive in your mind. There are no distractions. You are within your own creation. Simply setting the space for your contemplation. Let us pose an inquiry for the mind. What is bias? What is preconceived notions? And first I invite you to bring up a memory of an event, a relationship, where you felt you were perceived not rightfully, that there was some prejudiced opinion that was shaping the event or the relationship, that you were misunderstood unjustly because another person was biased, had preconceived notions. Take a moment and consider. Notice what comes up. How does it feel to be wrongfully perceived? Your words or your actions or your persona. Safe and protected in the space you have created for yourself. Now ask your mind for a memory where you acted from bias, acted from your preconceived notions. And recognize it after you have already acted. This could be with your child, with a partner, with a friend. You have made an assumption and acted upon it. How did that feel? How did the person receiving your action feel? Perhaps there was suffering for both of you. Pose an inquiry to your mind. Notice if you have bias that is directed towards groups of people, certain kind of professions. This is simply an invitation for exploration. And I remind you that bias is a normal human phenomenon. Simply notice, where is your bias? What are your preconceived notions? What blanket statements do you tend to make, perhaps about people with different politics than yours? Perhaps people of different color. Simply exploring the mind within the safe space you're in. It is private. It is yours. Take a moment. Perhaps bring to mind situations that maybe are not in a one-to-one personal relationship, that have to do with your emotional reaction to events that take place. And notice, are you choosing to interpret events based on your tinted view, on your preconceived notions? Or perhaps you're noticing bias and you pause and reflect. There is so much to look at, so much to choose from. As you harness your meta-awareness, your awareness of the conscious processes that are taking place within you, you're afforded an opportunity of choice, of wise choice. We may ask, what is reality? What is truth? And perhaps the only answer that is provided is through a contemplation of coming back to our loving heart. A teacher says, what will always serve is the human heart. At times it seems the suffering around us, perhaps even our own suffering, is simply too much to bear. Can we trust ourselves to pause, reflect, notice, and choose a response that serves both us and others? Can we trust ourselves to fail, stumble, fall, and then pick ourselves up again? Reflect, pause, notice, and choose wisely. Can we extend our loving heart to all sentient beings? Can we see the suffering even in those that take hateful action, recognizing that while we would never condone their action, they are suffering as well? Trust is our capacity to not turn away from ourselves or from others. Trust in our capacity to extend our open heart, knowing our back is strong, supporting us, soft front, strong back. I invite us into a promise of effort. The effort of putting in the time in contemplation that allows us then to pause, reflect, and choose wisely. We are all connected. Those that are wealthy, those that live in poverty, those that are white, those that are black and brown, the indigenous people. We all affect each other constantly. Can we take a step towards positive change? Recognizing our preconceived notions and responding wisely from our hearts again and again. Let this simmer within you for just a moment. Let us trust ourselves to be guided by our hearts. Let us trust ourselves to be guided by love. If you would place your hand on your heart space. Take a deep breath in and out. And another one. In and out. Feeling your heart expand by the power of your own love. In a moment, the bell will sound, indicating the completion of today's practice. And you can remain in contemplation, in reflection, or bring some movement into your body. I want to mention that the definition of trust is our capacity to not turn away from suffering is by Roshi Joan Halifax of the Upaya Zen Center. And I think I also mentioned something about, what will always serve as the human heart. This is also Roshi Joan Halifax. This is from a workshop, Bearing Witness in Difficult Times, by herself and Frank Ostaszewski. We're living in a dramatic time. There is a great opportunity to open ourselves to information, to differences, to learning about others and ourselves. I thank you so much for joining me today in this practice. Please comment and like and share. Let us spread the word that is love. And if you're watching this later, thank you for tuning in. And have a wonderful day. For now, goodbye.